Okay, hello everybody. Yeah, my name is Maxwell, and today is a privilege for me to have Spencer here, as you've seen it advertised. I mean, Spencer is a PhD candidate at the University of Manchester, and he also studied at the Cambridge University. And he has helped a lot of people, including about 20 students, to pursue international career in various fields across the globe. And it's a privilege meeting you. Welcome, Mr. Spencer Kyirem.
Thank you very much, Mr. Maxwell. I think you are one of the few to mention my surname very right. That was a very correct pronunciation. So great.
Thank you. I think it's also because I'm a typical Ghanaian and a typical
Yeah, I do hear people calling me Karim, Karim, but I mean, sometimes I just have to take it for it.
Yeah, anytime I tell people, yeah, I'm a typical African, they'll be like, wow,
Yeah,
few
that's
people who is so proud to be African. Of course.
right.
Mhm. Okay, so Spencer, for people meeting you the first time, people who have no idea about who you are, can you briefly tell us who Spencer is?
Hmm. So, as you rightly mentioned, my name is Spencer, and I'm a Ghanaian,
Mhm.
and I'm currently a PhD student at the University of Manchester pursuing political science.
Mhm.
And my whole journey has been someone who is more of rising from a humble beginning to becoming what certain things within the family could not achieve. So I see myself as someone who's changing the narrative in my family and even about every other person around me. So I'm someone who has walked the long road from rejections, from admissions, from self-doubt, and even prayer. And that to me is what probably makes a difference in my life because every other thing I have done couldn't have been achieved without the support of great friends and family members and even God.
Well, that's amazing. That sounds more like Kwame Nkrumah because, he was also from a very humble background, rising through, I mean, from to the UK and then to the
Yes,
US and becoming one of
yes,
Africa's greatest, I mean, export. I mean,
yes,
yeah,
yeah,
one of the
very
greatest
true.
Pan-Africans. Well, maybe you will see the next Kwame Nkrumah in you. Uh,
Hopefully.
yes, I mean, you mentioned that you're a first generation PhD candidate. I mean, at the University of Manchester. What does that mean?
So, for being a first generation student, I believe is someone with no blueprint in the sense that your family has no blueprint of education to the higher level. And it means my family did not attend any university level. They don't even understand what application at the higher level looks like. The highest they've gone is secondary education. So in my story, it is more of a courage one. It means that I believe in a version of myself that any no member of my family had seen before. It means that I'm carrying the hope of the family academic wise. And that to me is more like changing the narrative that my family members may have probably assumed that it's never possible for anyone within a family to become or to do this. So that right or that pride is something that I see as being the first in my family to rise through the ranks from secondary school, tertiary, undergrad level, masters, and getting to this feat. It's a no mean feat for me because it only takes resilience to get here, and that is the exception I take pride of. In this journey.
Well, that's really amazing. So it means that we are in the same boat, yeah. Also a first generation student because actually I'm one of the few people from my
Wow.
family who have studied abroad. Yeah. So can we say that that's the moment that actually changed everything for you, or there has been another moment in your life where
Yes,
things were?
there's been a lot of moments that changed everything in my life, especially at the undergrad level. At the undergrad level, sorry, I realized that if I put in the right preparations and when the opportunity arises, it will be more easier for me to sail through than to expect an opportunity when I haven't prepared for it. It's one thing to say, okay, I'm looking forward to this, and it's one thing to say, okay, I have what it takes to achieve that particular thing. So from the undergrad level, I understood that it's now time for me to see the future ahead and then consider what probably will make the changes. And I did that by excelling well at the undergrad level. And that is what has opened the doors for me even up till now. Because if I had failed then, I believe that foundation wouldn't have paved this way for me. So for me, my great moment actually started from that phase. And that is where I see the success story starting from.
That's amazing. So it means that anybody who is enrolling in the university, the bachelor's level, you advise them to actually take their career serious, their study serious,
Yes.
and at least get a first class degree.
Hopefully, yes. I will try my best to be there.
Mhm. So, okay. So in that case, what did you do differently that helped you get first class? Because many people, I think the political science department at K University enroll more than 800 students every year, and only few of them actually earn first class. In fact, some even earn pass, you know, and some don't even graduate at all. So what did you do differently that some people can actually emulate?
I was very intentional, about my journey because I knew from my humble beginning it means that my parents had to go through some struggles to put me where I am today. So it
Mhm.
means that I knew what was expected of me. There were clear expectations of what I should become, what I should do, what I shouldn't do. So that was the first thing. Beyond the grace factor as well, I'd also realized that everything about my life in that school was for me to achieve a greater result that I will be proud of. Because if I look back at my journey at Ken University and I'm not proud of how far I traveled, it meant I had failed in some circumstances. So thinking about that, I had to ask myself another question. Okay, what am I looking for at the end of the day? That was a question I had to ask. I mean, a long question, a long-term goal. Again, I had to also make or mingle myself around a network of great friends who are very supportive. Because some of us, when we go to school or classes, we assume that, oh, it's all about me. But there are some people who are exceptionally brilliant and they can do much more better than you do. There are some courses, to be fair, I never understood them as better as someone did. But then just because I knew that the level of intelligence varies among us, I associated myself with people whom I knew had that grace, knowledge of certain things I didn't understand. That was a good, advantage for me. And the last one was I also saw myself as not just becoming academic wise, but then involving myself in different areas of life, like leadership. I took certain roles like PRO of Political Science Department, Parliament, Speaker of Social Science Parliament, and other roles, I can't mention now. But then all of these networking and then made me feel the university as a universal city in the sense that everything happens in university. So in the university, I saw myself as not just learning, but then grooming myself in what makes me become a real university product of coming from University of Science and Technology. And that was probably something I think makes a difference for me because I was not limited to just one aspect of my life.
Well, that's amazing because we also hear stories from people saying that, once you engage yourself in this kind of leadership positions, it's actually do not help you a lot focus on your studies. So
Mm.
people end up not getting the best of degrees. And I mean, we've seen cases where people contested for SRC positions and had to fail their papers. Um, but that seemed to be the opposite of your case. Um, how did you combine
Interestingly,
that? Yeah. I mean,
interestingly,
how did
so oh, sorry to cut you short, Max.
Mhm.
So, in my first year of education at Kwame University, University, I'm very glad you attended University as well. But then, with the CWA, I had 80.17 at the start of my first year. S- Progressively through the second year, it dropped by 6 and I got up to 74 just because I became so involved in elections and campaigns. And it was there I understood that, no, you know what? I would rather prefer to support candidates and win appointments than to take up that big role of always coordinating everything from A to Z. So for me, I think at some point I was even contesting for poster president, which I dropped because I just realized that in as much as I would like to serve, I could serve in different capacities than just being the leader or the same, the person leading everything from A to Z. So for me, I was very strategic in where I serve and in what capacities I serve. People probably would want to become the sales president, go for it. But you have to balance it very well because if I didn't see where I fall short, maybe I would have become the worst case of example for anyone. But I had to think, go back, reflect. No, dropping from 80 to 74 is not a joke. So
Yeah.
that was another moment of reflection for me, and it changed a lot.
Wow, that is very insightful. Yeah, so I think that this would be a very good advice for those going into these positions, how to balance it. Well, let's move into your postgraduate studies. That's
Yes.
your after your bachelor studies. You studied outside Ghana. I mean, Ghana has a lot of
Yes.
universities pursuing postgraduate programs, but you chose to study outside Ghana and
Yes.
specifically in Europe. I mean, what motivated you to pursue postgraduate study outside Ghana?
That's a very great question, and it seems quite funny too because I mean, like you said, the course I even studied has to do with Africa. So Ghana would have been the best place to study that because I'm dealing with Africa.
Mhm.
But beyond that, I realized that I wanted to sit in a room where there were global conversations, there were diversity in thought, and there were experiences that I have never seen or experienced before. Again, I realized that the opportunities that will help me to grow, to be very fair, were non-existent in some cases in the universities, some of the universities in Ghana. One, financial limitation. From that humble beginning, I knew my parents or even myself wouldn't be able to save enough to do my master's in Ghana. So I had to look for alternatives that were very viable for me to still pursue my goal. So I considered that I'm not politically, I mean, connected to any political party or any great person to think of getting any local, I mean, scholarship. So I had to fight the journey on my own, finding what also works for me. So for me, the intent to travel abroad to study was more tied to where the opportunities are there for me to grow. And this was the right place for me to pursue them because I got it on a silver platter without paying a dime to anyone. And that was actually my motivation and my intent for pursuing abroad
Mm.
studies.
Yeah, so it was more about the finances. Okay. And yeah, talking about the finances, you actually earned a scholarship in Cambridge to study in Cambridge. I
Yeah.
think that's the Philomathia scholarship. I don't know if I pronounced it.
Yes. Yes. That's the correct pronunciation.
Yes, and I checked Cambridge statistics, and I realized that even from 2023 to 2024, only about 14% of the postgraduate students actually earned a scholarship to study there. So that means to get a scholarship to enter such a prestigious university is very tough.
It is.
What made you stand out?
I would first say the grace factor, and that's the most important for me. Beyond that, I would say I would first make it clear that there were people who had excellent results than I did. There were people who had greater CWS and GPAs than I had. It doesn't mean that the fact that I had it means that I was the best in my class. But then it all comes back to that clarity in research direction. I felt that there were a lot of expectations from the scholarship committee which needed to be ticked off. For example, my story must be coherent. Where I've been, what I've been doing, where I'm going, and why it even matters to them. Those were the key things I was looking at. So I had to crave or draft my story in a way that will look competitive and yet still meaningful and with clarity or direction to the scholarship committee members. So working through it all, I believe that was also something that made a difference because they're not just looking for intelligent people, they're looking for people who have some focus and some purpose in their life. And I think just as the shower of God's blessing favored me, that merit also came in to support. That's like I said, I told you when you have the preparations right, when the opportunity come, you can be able to grab it and get it all together. And because I had that preparation from undergrad ready, when the opportunity for me to advance to the Philometer scholarship came, it was very easy together with that factor, and that made it success. So that's what I think something that made me achieve that scholarship.
Wow, that's really amazing. So it's more about consistency and being organized regarding what you're doing. It's not so much about you being the most intelligent
No,
person, yeah, from the school. Wow, that's very interesting. And so, I mean, for people watching us, especially we have the bachelor students and those who just graduated recently, some of them want to pursue postgraduate studies. But of course, they may be in our position, not from a very well-to-do family. Can you briefly tell them the step-by-step process that they should follow if they want fully funded scholarship to study in some of these universities?
if you are still in your undergrad education and haven't completed yet, I would just say work towards the goal. I mean, try the best you can, at least to get a second class upper. if only you want to, receive fully funded, support from any institution or from any university. Because whilst you are in, you have the chance to correct any wrongs you currently might have done in your first year. So if you're still in your bachelor's level, correct your wrongs now. Whatever you might probably fail to have done in the first year or your second year, even if you're in third year, this is where it matters, and make that, count. Again, do so well also in your dissertation. Try and then learn more, about how to write your dissertation, because at the graduate level, everything you do is about writing, research. So if you don't prepare there, you only come here to fumble. So that preparation must also be established, at the undergrad level. I also realized that references also play a crucial role in every application process, because in our case, it's sometimes a bit hard to get a recommendation from our lecturers in some cases. So
Yeah.
it meant that if you're still in your undergrad level, try and create that friendship with your lecturers. I mean, don't go and force yourself on them, but then let them see you. Let them know you are, because mind you, if someone goes to the department to say, okay, I need recommendation, if Max, for example, is an applicant and I'm also an applicant, if Max go to the department secretary that want recommendation, there's a template they give to everybody. Because they don't know you, unknowingly, we may both be having the same recommendation content, and probably we might never be aware to the same school. And the admission committee members may be wondering, why is the same lecturer writing the same content for these two people? Does it not have something different to say about each of them? And that's where the rejection begins. So it means that we have to make sure our recommendations are being tailored to suit what we are, who we are, what we've done, and what we are even applying for. Because you can't use one recommendation for every other, school, or for every other purpose, because every school has a focus for what they're expecting from you. And again, make sure after your undergrad period, you've got the right support from friends. And because if your friends are not encouraging enough, this journey is very difficult to start, let alone to even complete. Filling one application even takes almost like a day or more. So it means you have to start early. So if you're watching us in February now, you could start this journey today, because most of the schools probably open their application window in August, in September, in November, up to maybe February. So it means this is the time for you to start the preparation. Don't wait till the school resume their window before you begin to pressure yourself, starting everything from A to Z. This is the best time to study, because you might never know. You may be that lucky one, but it's just because you have been afraid to start and get someone to mentor you or guide you. There are a lot of channels I used to watch our time on YouTube, which people were very, clear with certain support in terms of guidance, how to write a particular thing. And those useful resources were also very crucial to me. So in as much as you may need guidance from people, you have to also prepare yourself, because when you come to me, I believe mentorship is to refine effort and not to replace your effort. So that's something I really take great concern for.
Wow. That is really amazing. And yeah, you touched on this issue of recommendation letter. Um, so it means some students even get rejected, not because of maybe the application, but some of the recommendation that is no fault of theirs. So maybe, for instance, if a university secretary or some professors are watching us, what would be your recommendation to them, your advice to them regarding this recommendation
Ah,
letter?
I'll choose my words carefully.
Yeah, definitely.
So what I would do is, I think my top advice would be every letter should be tailored to the need of the student who's applying for the school. Because if we all get generic letters for every other school application, it only does us than good. It doesn't serve the need. And sometimes you might have brilliant students who have got everything it takes to study abroad, but simply because of certain content or certain things. Of course, mind you, we have no control of what they write for us. No, we have
Mm.
no control. Ordinarily, we shouldn't have any control of what they say about us, because it is their view of us that they are writing. But again, I mean, if there's a chance for you to let them know certain things you think will be useful to support your application, I mean, the applicants could tell the lecturers, but the lecturers could also be more friendly, try and be supportive, because I don't think they expect us to finish undergrad and stay at that level. They would want us to see that progress more and more. So they should help us. They should help us to go beyond the undergrad level with the right, letters that will boost, the strength of our application.
Wow, that's interesting. Let's come back to your postgraduate studies. I think the lecturers have heard you. What do you think is the key thing that stands out in application? Is it the motivation letter? Is it like the documents you put forward for for the admission committee to actually examine? What are the key things that should be included, to make your application stand out?
You know what? Like I said earlier,
Mhm.
there are people who've got all that it takes to achieve top scholarships in whatever place they want to pursue their academic, dreams. However, they have not told their story well to the reviewers. I had colleagues who had greater CWA than I did. It's not as if they are worse off as candidates. No, probably they have not been able to catch up with what is being required for them to tell their story more deeply because
Mm,
they look at the coherence and the consistency in how you're writing it. If you start from A and then we don't see the coherence in what you're writing, later you talk about something different. The clarity in what direction you are trying to create to them doesn't seem so clear to them. So your personal statement or the motivation letter, to me, I think is what differentiate between a second class student and also a first class student because you all can have the grades, but then a second class upper can write a story more convincing than a first class student, and he or she may have it than you do because you'll be wondering, I've got 79 or maybe 3.5 GPA. Why is someone with 765 having it? But you forget
mm,
that they have given you guys the chance. So I see the personal statement as a chance to prove yourself
mhm,
because they don't want to take your transcript just for it. They want to see, okay, now prove yourself. Tell us about you. So that is the point where someone who has second upper could rewrite her story to say that maybe this was the reason I couldn't get a first class. But you are so focused on the first class, first class, first class. But that person is telling the story to say, I didn't get first class, not because I didn't want to, maybe because these were the things I was also involved in, which also has an impact or contribution to the academic, application I'm making. And those persons really resonate well with such committee members. And I believe it makes a difference. So the personal statement is one key thing, together with the CV, the academic transcript, and the recommendation letter. It is what differentiates between, a second class, upper student and then a first class student.
Hmm. Then that brings it back to a point that yes, engaging in extracurricular activity may be important, but you must actually tell your story better to reflect the things you are doing. Because of course,
Yes.
as a student leader, you also assist students in the academics and other things. Well, I think that is really great. Um, so, aside that, do you think there are any other things that should be included, for instance, in the motivation letter, for example?
So, in the motivation letter, one thing, from my experience, I've realized is that, when you're reading a story, I tell some of the mentees that when you're reading a story and then the first line of the story doesn't intrigue you to read more, you will likely drop it off.
Yeah.
You read just the first paragraph and it's very boring. You are likely to drop it. So always there is something I call hook statement, which should appear in your first paragraph. The hook statement is something that catches the reader's attention. That makes the reader to say, there is more to this writing. Let me delve deeper and see what is in. And that for me makes that difference. So always I'm more particular about how you begin your motivational letter. You don't just write because you are just interested in writing, but then how do you want to convince someone to read more? Because mind you, there are a lot of applications they are reviewing. You are not the only one. You may be lucky if you have a good introduction. The reviewer can just pause at the first paragraph because he or she has understood all that you want to say in the subsequent paragraphs.
Mm.
And that could win the bag for you. So the motivation in the start of the writing is what I would always place attention to. Secondly, every little thing you think you have, doesn't make an impact also count. For example, during my time when I was writing, I applied to both Oxford and Cambridge and I got into both. But then I realized something that there was just someone that I helped to gather a data on a particular research topic. He was from Russia. I think he was from Russia. He came to Ghana and he needed some people to support him with the data collection. What I did was that I helped the person gather those data. And in writing my personal statement for Oxford, the field I was applying to had some connection with that particular, experience. So I tuned it in the line of that direction or that experience, even though someone would not consider it as a strength because it's someone's work. I just helped. But whilst helping, I helped in the analysis as well. So it gave me some insight to say, maybe in 2020 I did this and that, blah, blah, blah. So I told them what motivates me to get this, why this is relevant to me, and what experience do I have at my undergrad level, maybe some courses I might have taken or certain things I might have done beyond academics that are also useful for the work. So don't underestimate every experience. Everything makes a difference in your writing. Just that you have to be very clear and go straight to the point. Don't beat around the bush because they've got a lot to read. If you want to tell all of them everything about you, they wouldn't have the time to read. So focus on what will catch their attention. That hook statement is what I always prioritize in my writing.
Mm. Well, that is really amazing, prioritizing what is important. And I believe that will also apply to, things like the CV and other documents. But, most of the students coming from the undergrad level barely have any significant achievement. Most
Yes.
of them have barely engaged in any kind of work. They barely have any experience in general. And I think the same thing applied to you as well when you are applying for your postgraduate studies. In their CV, for instance, what should be highlighted?
I wish I had the opportunity on, I think my CV, I would have probably shown you something on the screen just to be an evidence to people. I don't have it on this laptop. But then after my national service, that was the only professional experience I had had in my life at the time. I had done nothing, not any other future research apart from my undergrad level. So my CV was more research focused. What do I mean by research focused? I tailored every contribution or everything I have done in the direction of research. For example, I did an internship at Strach. So when I was writing my roles, I didn't just write, oh, I filed complaints for plaintiff, I did and that. No. I tuned my roles to look like it is research focused. I made my roles look like there is an impact it has on my analytical on research thinking. So I didn't just write the roles because I was interested in just letting them know, oh, I've worked as Strach before. Every role or responsibility I was writing in that content was tuned for that purpose for which I was applying the program for. So
Hmm.
sometimes you might not have all that it takes, but you can make use of certain internship, roles and see how if it aligns with your course you're applying for. You are good to go. Just, tweak it along that direction. That's one thing I would say. Again, in my CV, I was very intentional about presenting myself as a good candidate as well. So
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
intentionally created a portfolio called Research Portfolio.
Mhm.
And then under the research portfolio, I wrote my undergrad thesis. What were the key findings? How I got it for them to know the methodology I used and all. And then remember I told you I supported a friend in data collection as well. I also added that to the experience to let them know the research experience I have, which what I have done in those experience, because I would have barely had just one page or maybe even half a page, CV. But I made use of every little story. So it counts as research focused or even academic focused. So things that do not even matter or match academic strength, I had to find that big wave of making sure they fit into the scope of direction which I was trying to create to the committee members. And that to me, I think also made a difference because I've got friends who have never done anything after service before and they are wondering, me, I don't have research, whatever. But then you have written 10 papers before. So there was a 10 paper I wrote when I wrote under the research portfolio. A 10 paper on this and that, and I just wrote a short line to explain what the 10 paper was. Maybe the finding, and it's not something I've published, but I had to make use of that. So if there's an essay you've written at the undergrad level before, maybe any work or something, and you think it's very useful to the course you're applying for, you could tweak it around there so that it shows some connection that, oh, this guy is, even though he has not published anything, he doesn't have that research experience, he's shown that he has the interest, the desire. And this is like a progressive, reflection of what he intends to achieve or to do. And to be sincere, that worked for me. And it's been working for some of the people I've been guiding to. And it works. If only someone would consider that as a strength or something to do. It's worked for me and any other person I've guided. And yeah, it makes a difference.
Oh, that is really amazing. Yes, because some of these small information, people have no idea about them because we write these theses, we write these term papers, and we think that's it. It just ends there. Wow. Well, thank you very much for that information. I think people will make very good use of that. Um, you are into political science,
Yeah.
and we have a lot of undergrad students who actually call me and be like, Max, Senior Max, I'm studying political science, but I don't even know what I'm going to do. Uh, I don't know after school what else am I going to do. Yes, I have masters, and yes, what? Can you briefly give us any insight as to what students can actually pursue in this field and how they can even do it?
It reminds me of some popular statement when back in school. They say, so yeah, they will." So yes, so I mean, politics is interdisciplinary, which means I mean it cuts across a lot of things that happens in our everyday life. And depending on where your strength is, I, for one, mine is more of research and data analysis. So I mean, I'm looking up for roles where I would apply such curiosity, such strength in analyzing and researching data, doing that kind of big gig on data analysis and all that. So for me, I feel I'm in the right direction because even the path I'm on is leading me to research, I mean, opportunity. So that was more of the clarity I had in mind, even doing, I mean, the course of my undergrad education, that where do I want to go after here? What do I want to become? I mean, I know PhD is tough, but then that is what will lead me to my goal. So it meant I had to go through that. It is just unfortunate that maybe in our part of the world, we see some of these social science courses as not useful because we focus so much on the STEM, which is also, I mean, great. But then
Yeah.
we only see the STEM people as the only useful, I mean, career, I mean, and professionals, and disregard some people like sociologists, political science, and all these people are great individuals that certain countries in Europe and maybe America and other people don't take for granted. We would never have heard of Adam Smith and those big names if they never made an impact. They made an impact. So it means that whatever course you are pursuing, unless you don't have a direction for why you are pursuing it, that's when you would not know what to use it for. So if you have a clear line of, I mean, action, you can go into policy making, and policy making is broad. There are areas of policy that politics would influence, I mean, how it's being made. Maybe gender protection, maybe criminal rights, or I mean, criminal I mean, offense. Anything about every social human interaction, politics has a place to deal with. Just that you have to define where you want to go with that. I mean, that discipline or that degree. And I think, if I'm being specific to say, there are areas in our life that we can apply where our degree can fit. I know a friend who's working in a finance company, I mean, in Germany, no, in Netherlands instead. And then he doesn't have any finance background, but then he's working with them as their strategy analyst. And you'll be wondering, how can someone who is reading political science be found in a finance team? Because he has found his way to know these are the things that will make me survive in such an industry. So that person may not ordinarily may not fit in the finance industry, but he's there because he thinks he's got certain soft skills that will be relevant to that field or that firm, and he's there for that purpose. So there is no straight answer to say after politics you go into this department or you go into, I mean, this. It's up to you to define how you would want to. I mean, sometimes even after undergrad level, your options may change. You may not want to pursue politics again. You may want to do something different. So, I mean, things may change. I have changed my career many times in my life. Growing up, I wanted to become, I mean, a lawyer. Sometimes I want to become a journalist. I wanted to become this. I've changed my career many times. But it's all up to you and maybe what your strength and your area of interest is. And that probably would be the clear direction.
Well, thank you very much for that. Yeah, I think, yeah, I think if our dear undergrad students are listening, then they will know how to position themselves.
Yes.
Um, and you've actually helped a lot of students actually to
Yeah.
pursue international study opportunities abroad,
Yeah.
which is commendable because a lot of people these days find themselves in unwanted situations. They end up signing contracts even to be enlisted in foreign armies because they need opportunities. And they do this because they don't have the right information. And that is one reason why we chose to even start this project. But what actually pushed you to start mentoring?
You know, in as much as I'm happily sharing
Mhm,
my journey as though it looks so rosy and smooth, there
mhm,
were challenges. So from the start, even before I completed my undergrad, right, in my final year in 2019 and thereabout, that was when I started thinking about these opportunities. So whilst in school, I considered myself that I need someone who could guide me on this path. At the time, you've got great, mentors and colleagues who I think they were in your cohort and other people who have traveled. And if you don't know how to do something, there's no shame asking people for help. So I went right to them. Hello, senior. Hello, sister. Please, can you do this for me? Help me with this. Review my CV. Can you do this for me? To be sincere, you may not be pleased with the reviews all the time because you may be wondering, me, I've taken my time to write this part. You're telling me it doesn't make sense. Hey, by the time I thought they were doing me bad or harm, but it's been very helpful because there are some things that, for example, sometimes I used to include my date of birth in my CV. I used to include things that my marriage status, other things. And had I not known that maybe, yes, someone would say, so you never know how to write CV. Yes, I admit I didn't know at the time. So these mentors were there to refine my efforts, to make it better, to look good. So they had a role to play. So I considered that if people have been there to support my journey, and now I've also made it here. And luckily, by God's grace, I got three admissions and three scholarship, and I had to now decide where I would want to go. But the reason I chose Cambridge was Cambridge came first, Oxford came second, Minnesota came last. So I was wondering, where do I go? Anyways, let me go for Cambridge. But the reason I rejected Oxford is Oxford had rejected me the previous year, so I showed them paper. Yeah. So just to say, the support from friends and senior colleagues was also very useful. It made me to know how to shape my things. So I told myself, if I get the chance to be in their shoes, I'll do what they did for me for others as well. And that was just what motivated me because someone helped me to rise to the tree. I have to also help them to also climb as well. And that was just what inspired me to help people. And by God's grace, not just even Cambridge per se, I've got people whom I've guided and supported to different schools, different fields, different careers. And I can't say all to God's glory because it's not my doing. It's just God who gave me the strength and that favor to also give back to people as others did for me.
Wow, that's so inspiring. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm really touched by this. And so that is actually one thing that people who get these opportunities do. That is one thing they do. And is there other things that they do? I mean, aside the normal academics, you know, are there any particular patterns that they follow that land them in this opportunity?
Um, to more clear on that, are you talking about the mentees or the applicants? Or I'm not too
Yeah, I
sure.
mean, the applicant, you know, well, we know that we go to school, we study, we get good grades, and then we apply for scholarships. Now, you mentioned that, a lot of people guided you, and then they actually provided some sense of direction for you, So that is one step that you took. It's actually a path that you took. Is there any other thing that you did aside the academics and being mentored by people, so such that people can actually learn from your journey?
Yes.
Mm.
Senior Max, one thing is if you don't prepare or refine your own or define where you want to go, others will define it for you. If you don't let others know where you are leading, even when I'm helping you, I can't be able to help you holistically because even the person I'm helping is not sure of where he's going. Yes, I know mentorship help people to identify their potential and all that, but it begins from within. So I realized that in as much as I may want people to help me, I had to also do the hard work because they've got other busy schedules to do. So people may only say, "Oh, hello, senior, please, I want to apply to this school. Can you help me?" And I ask you, what have you got in place? Some of them, nothing at the moment. Okay. Wow. So what do you want me to do to help you? Can you help me write personal statement? I'm like, right? Really? Yes. we all struggled at the start, but then you also have to put in the hard work. So for me, I think beyond the mentorship, I consider the fact that it is my journey. It is mine, and it's mine, I mean, to dig and do it better. In as much as these people may be helpful, I had to do every research. For example, LinkedIn became a favorite place for me much more than Facebook and Twitter because whenever I go there, I just type scholarship for this and that in this area, scholarship for blah, blah, blah. And I get related information about that. So I get to see professors who are advertising. And let me shock you with this. I found an application fee waiver to apply to Cambridge on Twitter, which I would have missed if I didn't do the search myself or if I waited on my mentors. When I went on Twitter, I just typed scholarship to study in the UK. And I saw someone who had advertised how to not apply, how to not pay, I mean, how to avoid paying application fee to University of Cambridge, which was about £75 at the time. I didn't have that money. So I found that information on Twitter. If I had waited and depended on my mentor, I would have missed the opportunity because they were giving me the guide, but they're not going to pay the fee for me. So the dirty part of the work, you have to do it the most. They are just there to refine it. So I had to dig deeper into making sure I make their work easier and to make it work. Beyond the mentorship too, many of us maybe are also not sure of where to start. Okay, now that Spencer has said this, how do I begin? What do I do? What do I do differently? I started off with this particular this website called Masters Portal. If you check online, there's something called Masters Portal. What I did was that I went on Masters Portal. It allows you to select study destination like maybe America, UK, Germany, wherever you want to study, and then your area of discipline or interest. If you type that in, it's synchronized or makes you understand which areas or which courses or which schools offer what you are interested in studying. So it gave me a clear line of direction to know, okay, these schools are what will offer me the programs I want to study. So for that reason, let me just look out for what they are expecting of candidates to apply or to provide. And those were the little efforts or the things I did behind the scenes together with the support from mentors to be sure that all that I was doing, I was also putting my efforts in, not waiting for someone's 100%, effort. So a majority of the work, about 80 and 90% of the work depends on you. The mentors are just there to refine your work, but then you, the individual, have to now find that path, that journey. Some people come to me and say, hello, please, I'm starting, I'm done with school. I want to apply for study abroad. I'm like, okay, that's a good thought. Have you got what you want to study at the master's level? Can you suggest? They ask me, can I suggest one for them? I'm like, at the end of the day, you are the one going to write the essays in the school. You are the one going to write the dissertation. So if I apply for data science for you, will you apply and go? No. So you need to have a clarity and a purpose, like a focus area, what you need to do. Because if you come for mentorship or guidance and you yourself have no clarity, I'll put you where I want, but I don't want to risk your life in that direction. So come with clarity, come with that sense of focus. And I think that's where the conversation can begin from.
Yeah. Wow. That is interesting. So now let's assume I have the clarity. Now I know where exactly I want to be, but I have to prepare the application, and I have no idea like which ones should I even prioritize, and how should I go about it. So can you quickly maybe give us about 5 documents that you need to take seriously when preparing for such applications?
Of course, because you are done with your degree, you would have your certificate, you would have your transcript, you would also need an academic CV, and then you would need what we call the personal statements, which you would have to draft from the scratch, and then the references. And in any context, maybe if the school demands additional documentations like GRE or any other thing, depends on the school. Those are, secondary documents. But then, if you've got all these five, what I always say to people is that the ones that you don't have to do much about them at your transcript and your certificate because those ones the school already give it to you. The ones you have to toil and work on is your CV, your personal statement, and also to encourage your lecturers to also write, something meaningful for you. These three ones are what you need to focus so much on, especially if you're done with school, because for the transcript, it's not in your authority to provide transcript for yourself. The school provide that for you. The certificate has already been designed, your class and everything shows on the certificate. But for transcript, for recommendation letters, for personal statement and for CV, you have to design that. So these are the key documents I would, enlist as the major things people should look out for in providing to support their application journey.
Wow. Okay. Well, so if you are listening and maybe you want someone to mentor you, you should be ready. You should be prepared. You should have some of these documents, at least the ones you can prepare, you should have them, ready. Well, I think this will help a lot of people who are actually listening
Yeah.
to us. So, you mentioned Master's Portal as one of
Yes.
the places where you actually got some information. Are there other sources or other places that people can actually get access to some information regarding such opportunities?
Yes. YouTube is a very useful place as well. Um, there are some people I used to follow. If I still remember their names, there was one guy called Victor Gbogba. There's another guy called Kingsley Ochoma. I mean, these people had YouTube channels that explained a lot of scholarship opportunities. For example, I mean, Victor has a lot of them. Every scholarship you can think of in Europe, or even in America, or in the UK. Victor Agbogba has got all of these on his YouTube channels, starting from how to apply, what to avoid, what to look out for, because he's won series of scholarships that he had used those experiences to make those videos. So those were the starting point for me. The YouTube was another point. And many of us are just on social media because we are just there for fun or to watch the videos. But even Facebook now has now transitioned to become, I mean, an opportunity for people to learn. For example, even this platform is one engaging one for people to learn. So iPad, I mean, is changing the narrative that the youth can take up their own narrative, can take up their own future, I mean, in their hands. Because some of these conversations we are having now, I mean, we are not wasting time just because we want to let people know we have made it in life. No, I've not made it. I'm still young. I'm still searching for my future. But then it is just to encourage people that if I have done it, you can do the same. It's something to encourage because I never paid a dime to any university committee member to give me a slot or something. It was out of those hard work and the favor that led me to this journey. So I would always want to say YouTube is one. Facebook is an opportunity. I think they've got, I mean, I follow a lot of people on Facebook who provide regular updates. I think there's this guy called Fred Effect who provides much support for people for America, Canada, and those kind of bits. These people are there. I mean, you may be wondering how then do I make use of all the information they give? There are a lot of links they provide to the announcement on Facebook that you have to go and look out for the school. Okay, what is the school demanding of me as an applicant? Because mind you, there are some certain focus that school A may have that school B may miss. So if school A's focus is on, let's say, democracy, and you are interested in democracy, it means that school B wouldn't be the best fit for you because this is where your interest is. This, you believe this focus of this school matches your strength. So sometimes the rejections we get is not because we are not good students, or because the focus of the school doesn't align with our interest. Sometimes that's where the rejection comes in because you're looking for someone who would help you to research environmental politics. Maybe in that department, yes, it's politics, but then there's no one who researches environmental politics. So you go to the school feels they will do great disservice to you if they allow you in because they wouldn't want you to just come to the school and then they won't give you the best of support. You want to go and say that, oh, the school I attended is baller or it's not good. So you will say something bad about them. So they want to give you that great service. So to avoid that disservice to you, they want to welcome students who align with their research strength and their focus. So always be looking out for where your strength is and which school can provide you that alignment in that direction.
Well, well, this is very good. Um, so, a lot of people are listening today, and of course, a lot of them are still going to reach out to us after this interview, as always. And people always text or call me that, Senior Max, can you mentor me? But I barely have time. So sometimes, of course, some of my colleagues help with that. But maybe someone is listening to you. The person is inspired. The person is motivated and wants to be mentored by you because you've mentored about 20 students. How do they reach you? Via LinkedIn, via Facebook, or where?
Well, I mean, I'm better reached on LinkedIn. Um, yes, and I mean LinkedIn than any other site because I do more of my digging on LinkedIn, searching for conferences, searching for other things. So mostly I sleep there. I sleep there much more than I used to do on Facebook when I was young. Now, sometimes I even forget if there is Facebook or there is WhatsApp because that is the place I play, I mean, more of these days. So maybe that would be the best place than the other social media apps. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. So can you give us your LinkedIn ID
Oh,
so that yeah, I
yes.
can reach out to you?
So, my name is Spencer Kyirem. So Spencer, and then the surname is Kyirem. So that is my name on LinkedIn.
Good. That is great. You know, but LinkedIn is one of the places where sometimes you reach out to people and they start asking, "Who are you?" You know.
I mean, there's one thing that sometimes I seem not to understand. For example, I'm a stranger. I text you in a max. Hi, just hi, and you don't consider for example, if I come to say hello, then you come and ask how are you, that kind of, I mean, yes, come, because you might not be aware what the person is up to. So if you want a response to something, go with that request. Hello, maybe Spencer, I am this and that, I hold a blah 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 degree in this, I would like to support me, maybe let me know all that you want to say. Then based on that, I can give you a direct response or a straight response than, hi, you wait for me to come and say hello. Okay, how are you? Like, mind you, maybe I may be up to something, but because of that conversation, I may not be interested to pursue, I mean, further. So always come with, I mean, boom, tell me what you want. Go straight at it. Don't come and say hi, hi, hi. No.
Okay, so yes, the person must go straight to the point. So write all your message in one and send it. Okay, so Spencer is not going to ask, "Who are you and who are you from?" You just go straight to the point and ask your questions. Okay,
Yes.
Spencer, I think we're going to end here, but do you have any last words for the people out there?
Yes. So, for someone who is about to begin this journey, my advice would be avoid generic personal statements. And if I say generic, I mean that someone might be saying, okay, I'm applying to political science, for example, and for that reason, every other school I'll be applying to, which also pursue or provides political science program, I would use the same personal statement for them. Mind you, I told you every school has its own focus and research strength. So you can't use what you use for school A for school B. Avoid generic things. Be very creative in writing because writing takes time. Don't assume that you use just one day to write your personal statement. It took me a month. Why a month? Because every new day I had different thoughts of how to present a new statement, how to write it differently. And that was a reflection moment. And then start now, because don't start too late, because now is the time for you to start. And it's very good this section was held in February because a lot of this, I mean, the windows will open in August and September and all. So as you have heard this, I mean, section, put it to good use. And then don't, I mean, assume you can do it all. Find mentors. Or if you are lacking to find a mentor, someone who can help you, YouTube and those, I mean, online resources are also great, I mean, places to begin. At least it gives you some idea what people have done that worked for them and didn't work for them, some mistakes to avoid. These are things to consider. And I think what I can also say is, you know, avoid or do proofreading of your statement. There was a time I applied to a school, and do you know what? I forgot that I had written or I have replicated a document I had used for a different school for the current application I was working on. So I think, let's say school A had certain content, and I forgot to change all of them because I assumed all political science are political science. And I just put that in. And I didn't read, I didn't take time to read certain grammar mistakes because one key strength of any graduate student is your attention to detail. So if you are missing those key bits in your writing, it raises some question marks about you. So you can't even identify certain mistakes in your writing because research should have some level of integrity. So if you want to publish or do something and then you can't pay attention to certain thing that would probably daunt your research or make it not look great, it means that you are not that fit for the job. So they look out for all of this, but all that I can say is excellence isn't accidental. It is more like a progress of daily discipline. So it means that if you want to achieve excellence, don't assume that it comes, I mean, out of the blue. You'd have to work hard for it. There are days that you have to sit up at night, 2 a.m., when all your friends are asleep because you are searching for schools. You are doing something. In as much as you may have mentors, put in the great work because I believe that the same favor of God that found me to be where I am today, which I have never paid any dime for any tuition fee or whatever I'm enjoying today. It's that same God that will favor you, but then you have to also prepare and meet the opportunity, and that's where your breakthrough may come true. Thank you for having me, Mr. Mark. So,
All right, thank you very much. That was Spencer Kyirem from the University of Manchester, offering a PhD in political science. I hope I'm not mistaken.
yes, 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 yes.
The former student of the Cambridge University. Spencer, it was nice meeting you, and I will leave you here. Enjoy the rest of your day. And if
Thank
you
you so
have
much.
any questions, we are going to reach out to you on LinkedIn. Spencer Kyirem is the name. Please reach out to him. Ask all your questions. Don't bring all the questions to me because it's too much for me to answer. Yes, please reach out to him and he will answer all your questions. He's a very good person and he will do justice to your questions. All right, Spencer, thank you very much.
Thank you, Max. Have a good day too. Bye bye.
Bye.